Hey everyone, and welcome back to Dallas Cowboys coverage. Dak is back, and the Cowboys get the dub, so it's a good day. But I'm gonna break it all down. What right, what went wrong, because it wasn't a perfect game. I'm not gonna say it went completely smoothly. It was a rough first half. The offense still not quite exactly where we want them to be. So I'm gonna break it all down, starting with Dak Prescott. So he's back, and thank goodness. I think the Eagles game finally put all the Cooper Rush narrative to rest. Dak is better than Cooper Rush. He just is. Cooper Rush did an incredible job. I've said it before. I'll say it again. He held down the fort. He got it done when he needed to, and he did his job more and to a larger extent than anyone could have expected. You came in 4-2. Dak's back, and now you've improved to 5-2. Great win over the Lions. You have the Bears next week, also at noon, and I think you can get another win there. The Cowboys, well, the offense and Dak Prescott himself was not perfect. He played a very safe and conservative game, and I think that was the game plan coming in. And I think it's a good way to ease him back into it. He had about a little over 200 yards, a touchdown to Peyton Hendershot, not Ian Bunting if you watch the broadcast. Just to make that clear, he's on injured reserve. So that's what that was. But Dak Prescott, he just looked good. He looked like he didn't look like the thumb was affecting him, which was something I was the most concerned about. He looked good. He looked like he had full control over the ball. But there was still some rust, I would say. We saw it in week 1. He wasn't quite what we've seen and what we know he's capable of doing. So that's something that's still a bit of a concern. He still has to get his feet under him and to get back on track and get back to playing like the elite quarterback that he is. Because he played well. He managed the team, but he was, basically the same Cooper Rush game plan, just a little better, a little more aggressive, but I'm fine with that. I like that they kept going with the run game. Tony Pollard was amazing. Zeke was awesome again. When he hurdled over that guy, the memories, the nostalgia, it felt like 2016 Zeke was back. And the defense, which I'll get to. That's why you won this game. And that's why you've been winning with Cooper Rush, and that's why you won this game. It's nice to see a team and to have a team to where Dak Prescott doesn't have to go out and throw for 400 yards to keep you in it. This team is very capable in a lot of other aspects. And now if Dak and that offense can, especially the passing game, can really get going again, get to even just be a fraction of what they were a couple years ago, this team can be so dangerous all around. And I believe that will come. I think the game plan will continue to evolve and become more aggressive. I'm fine with playing it a little bit safe. It's worked so far, and especially after the early struggles, that's fine. It got the job done, and you won 24-6. I can't complain about that ever. I don't care. It's a good win. So Dak, he's going to continue to improve, and he's going to get better. He's going to take more. He's going to have more opportunities to take bigger shots. But that was the main issue with me. There were some inaccurate balls. That Noah Brown pass, well, you can put blame on both of them. The ball was not exactly where it needed to be. But then there were some, like the one to CeeDee Lamb in between two defenders, pinpoint accuracy by Dak Prescott. It's still there. It's not gone. He just needs to keep working on it. There were a few wayward passes into some double, triple coverage that I did not think were smart, could have been intercepted. So it's just things like that Dak's going to have to continue to improve upon. He took care of it, though, didn't turn the ball over. He is a great quarterback, but he needs to go out and prove that he is an elite quarterback in this league. I believe he's top 10. I believe he's probably about top 7, honestly. But this season, he has not quite shown that. Obviously, week 1 was bad. No excuse there. No, there's nothing good about that game in hardly any aspect except probably Micah Parsons. But this game, he looked good. He showed flashes, and he showed that he's getting back into rhythm. I mean, this was his first game back. He's played one game in, this whole season. He hasn't played since last, December, if we're being realistic, other than one game. So there's some rust there, especially after now with the injury, the rehab. Give him some time. Give him some time. If, he didn't play badly. If he was throwing interceptions, if he was turning the ball over, if he was looking like he looked in week 1, then I'd be concerned. But he played it safe. He did what he needed to do, and he got the job done. So I'm never going to complain about that. He executed the game plan exactly how it needed to be, and the Cowboys got a good win. So it wasn't perfect, but he got his job done, and he's only going to continue to improve. I spoke on the running backs. They were awesome. Credit to them. And then also I briefly spoke on CeeDee Lamb. He was very good. Noah Brown was good too. Obviously had that one fumble where he was just 360 flipped over. I can't blame him for that, honestly. He never liked to see a fumble, especially inside the 5-yard line, but that was a brutal hit he took, so I'll give him a pass there. Michael Gallup, unfortunately, just was not able to get involved. That's something that the Cowboys paid him. We got to see him be a little more involved in the offense, and I think he will continue to be. But the Cowboys have a lot of weapons. We saw it. Dalton Schultz had a great game, and I said it. Once Dak comes back, Dalton Schultz is going to be back, and he was. Dak is a great quarterback, and he elevates the play of decent players, of average to maybe a little bit above average players. Dalton Schultz is not elite. We saw it. He didn't perform with Cooper Rush. Dak Prescott, though, and him have a chemistry. They have a connection. Does it mean it's worth paying him 12, 13, 14 million? I don't think so, because we saw Peyton Hendershot, we saw Jake Ferguson execute just as well. Dalton Schultz is a good player. He really is, but the injuries have piled up this year. He's, feels like every play, every hit he takes, that he might go down. Not sure if that knee's completely right yet, so it's an interesting topic of discussion going into the trade deadline and going into the offseason. I don't believe Dalton Schultz is traded, but it's going to be interesting to see what happens. Obviously, playing on that franchise tag, and to me, what this season has shown is that Dak elevates players. We know that. He elevates good, decent players, average players, into very good players. We've seen it happen. He's elevated Peyton Hendershot. We saw him play well. And he's elevated Dalton Schultz. He has. He truly helped him break out last season. And it's just going to be an interesting choice. Do you pay him? Or do you just let Dak kind of move on to the next guy? We've seen it happen before. Cedric Wilson was incredible last year. Have you heard about him with the Dolphins? Dak Prescott really, really plays a big role in a lot of these receivers and tight ends. So Dalton Schultz, he had a good game. Not going to take anything away from him. But he's an interesting topic, especially going into the offseason. So let me know down in the comments, do you want to pay Dalton Schultz? It's not going to be cheap. Maybe he goes down a little bit. Maybe he takes a little bit of a team-friendly deal, especially after some of the struggles this season, but I wouldn't count on it. So let me know. Do you pay Dalton Schultz this offseason? Yes or no? To me, it's a tough one, but I'm not quite sure about it. So moving on, the offensive line was very good. They really did play well. Jason Peters, in a limited sample size, has been so good. So good. He was the highest graded offensive player for the Cowboys. Obviously in a limited sample size, but McGovern was good. Tyler Smith was good. Terrence Steele, it was rough going at first. He got back on track in the second half, but for some reason he just was really struggling in the first half, especially after he's put together a string of very good games. Zack Martin back, one of the highest graded players. Zack Martin, it's been a different year for him. He hasn't been bad by any means, but he hasn't quite been as dominant as we've seen him in the past. Hasn't been allowing too many sacks or too many pressures, but just has not been as dominant blocking as we're really accustomed to. So it's nice to see him kind of getting back on track. And Tyler Biadasz, no one's complained about him this year. That's a good thing. He's done his job. So now the MVP of the game. The defense of this team is so good. It's so special. It's incredible. My player of the game is Sam Williams. He was so good. He played 14 snaps. Let me clear my throat. Sorry about that. 14 snaps all game. 14. And he racked up, I got the stats, 3 tackles. 2 tackles for a loss, 2 QB hits, 2 sacks, a forced fumble, and a fumble recovery. All in just 14 snaps. Sam Williams is special. I mean, he threw a guy to the ground. He body slammed a running back. So, got to be careful, but he has that that fire in him. He feels like a true Randy Gregory replacement. He's young. He has even more potential to me than Randy Gregory did. He has that potential. He has that fire in him, that competitiveness. Got to be careful sometimes. You don't want to draw flags, but he's got that. He's got that dog in him. Sam Williams is a stud. He looks like Micah Parsons a little bit, and he's starting to play like Micah Parsons. And if you're playing like Micah Parsons, you are doing a lot of things right. He's done it so far this season in a very limited sample size, but this was the biggest game. This was his breakout game. He's proved it. He's shown flashes. This kid has so much potential to be a great pass rusher on this team and in this league. We've seen Dorance Armstrong develop before our eyes. I mean, he has 6 sacks this season. He has been amazing. Randy Gregory, who? It's been incredible what Dan Quinn has been able to do with these defensive ends. A couple years ago, Dorance Armstrong didn't look like he was anything. And now the way he's elevated his game is incredible. If Dan Quinn and company can continue to develop guys like Sam Williams, and will you still have solid players like Dante Fowler and Terrell Basham, who will be returning soon, man, this defense is so good, and it just keeps getting better and better. Sam Williams, absolute stud. So I talked about some other guys. They were very good as well. Oso Digizua has played so well at defensive tackle. He's really solidified himself as the number one. And Micah Parsons, business as usual. He had a strip sack. That brings him up to 7 sacks on the season in only 7 games. He, I believe, leads the league. He's tied for first in sacks. Keep it up. If he can keep going a sack a game, we like that a whole lot. And speaking of streaks, Trevon Diggs started a new one with his 3rd interception of the season. That is tied for 3rd in the NFL, and along with his 9th pass breakup, that is number 1 in the NFL. Trevon Diggs has been incredible this year because his coverage has improved so much. He only allowed 6 yards on 1 catch. Trevon Diggs, he still has the ball skills. 9 pass breakups. 3 interceptions, not quite the pace he was at last year, but still 3rd in the NFL. And if he gets just a few less interceptions, but the way his coverage has improved, he has truly solidified himself as a top 10, top 7 cornerback, maybe even top 5. Trevon Diggs is a stud. He's a Pro Bowler. He's an All-Pro for a reason. He's got so much hate over the years, even though 11 interceptions. He's got a star on his helmet. That's just how it goes, unfortunately. But he has proved the haters wrong. They're never going to shut up. He knows that. But he's just going to keep playing his game. He's done that so far this year. He's been awesome. He's a stud, absolute stud. He was awesome on Sunday. So the defense as a whole, Leighton Vander played well too. He was all over the place. He had, I think, 9 tackles, maybe more. Jourdan Lewis was around that number too. So just all over the place. Good tackling. Donovan Wilson, awesome. He's up to, I think, 3 sacks now on the season. That's incredible, especially for safety. To me, Donovan Wilson reminds me a lot of Jamal Adams. Just able to play in the box, get sacks, put pressure on the quarterback, disrupt everything, and hit everything. Donovan Wilson is another young stud on this defense. And if I mentioned every single one in depth like they probably deserve, we'd be here all day. That's going to be another 30-minute video. So don't want to keep you guys too long, but there was some real good performances. Anthony Brown's done a lot better as of late, and Jourdan Lewis, unfortunately, I'll talk about him and the rest of the injuries later in the video, but an incredible interception to help put that game away. Man, this defense is good. Malik Hooker, Anthony Barr, Neville Gallimore, also who didn't play, I'll talk about him. Quinn Bohanna, Tristan Hill, Carlos Watkins, who is signed. This defense has so much depth, so much talent, and so much potential that is yet to be tapped. Guys like Sam Williams, Deron Bland, Israel Mukwamu, man, this is a special unit led by a very special and incredible coach in Dan Quinn. This defense is special. This defense is a defense that can win a championship. They say it, this is a Super Bowl caliber defense. They're so good. They're so good. We all know it. They just got to keep playing their game. 6 points against a Lions offense who has been very good this season. Absolutely insane. Incredible. This is a team that's putting up 40 burgers on teams. This defense, 6 points. Jared Goff had -1 fantasy points. Man, this defense is good. All right, so moving right along into the special teams, KaVontae Turpin, he's special too. Get him involved more on offense. We saw the one jet sweep type reverse play. Keep doing those type of things, but it doesn't even have to be that cute. Just play him at that as a secondary slot receiver. He has so much speed. He's reminds me a lot of a Mecole Hardman type of player. He has that burst, even maybe more so. Get him involved. I don't care how you do it. Just get him the ball more. Because when he has the ball in his hands, he can make very special things happen. We saw him on the return, another incredible one. It was the longest kick return, or punt return, of the season thus far. He is, I think, leads the league, or he's very high up there in net punt average. I think he's number 1. He's been so good. The teams don't want to kick to him because he makes an impact almost every time he gets the ball in his hands. So keep returning like he's doing. Keep setting him up for success. But get him the ball more offensively. He can make great things happen for sure. Brett Maher, as usual, Money Maher. Man, he's been awesome. He's solidified this kicker position. I've said it before. I'll say it again. He's been exactly what the Cowboys needed. So hats off to you. Bryan Anger's really gotten back on track after a couple botched sort of shank kicks a couple weeks ago. He's been awesome as usual. So this team, that's about everyone. I broke it all down, and it's good. It's so good right now. And the offense, there's some issues. I'm not going to say it was a perfect game, especially in the first half. It was rough. And this defense is the reason you won, and you won so convincingly. The offense was okay. It was okay. And it's going to get better, but there's work to do offensively. There's work to do to get this team flowing on all cylinders. And when that happens, watch out, because the Cowboys are a force to be reckoned with, especially defensively. A lot of potential. But the unfortunate thing that I do have to talk about is injuries. So let's get into that. Jourdan Lewis, he broke his foot. I'm not sure the exact injury, but he needs surgery. He's gone for the year, and it's rough. He's really created a role for himself in the slot, at that slot cornerback position. He's done such a good job, and another interception. He is so clutch, so it's just really tough to see him go down. Unfortunate, to say the least. So DaRon Bland's going to be stepping right in. He's done a good job thus far. He flashed in the preseason. He did good. That one game Jourdan Lewis missed with the hamstring injury, so as unfortunate as it is, I trust DaRon Bland to step in and get his job done. Neville Gallimore's a guy I wanted to talk about. He was inactive for Sunday's game, and I still haven't heard anything on him. I'm not sure if it was an injury. It had to be something because I don't see them just scratching him. We saw the signing of Carlos Watkins to the active roster. I think that's probably to help fill that role. Not sure on Neville Gallimore. I'll update it. Put it in the description if I hear more. So, continuing with the injuries, but real quick, I just wanted to mention again, Carlos Watkins was signed to the active roster because of the injury to Matt Waletzko, the offensive tackle. He separated his shoulder for the 3rd time this season. He really tried his best to play through it, but surgery was inevitable, so it's going to go ahead and happen now. I think I'm perfectly fine with that. Have him just learn. This can be a red shirt IR stash year for him. He has a lot of potential. He has a lot of the traits that are freakish, honestly, in an offensive tackle. So let it be a year for him to learn, a lot like it was for Josh Ball last season. So unfortunate for him, but again, he is on injured reserve, and I believe his season is done. So continuing, Matt Farniok was also hurt. He suffered a hamstring tear. He's expected to miss, I believe the initial report was about 6 weeks. Maybe it's more than that. I think maybe he returns towards the end of the season. It'll be an interesting name to watch. I think he'll be back at some point, in some capacity. But luckily, Jason Peters is here. He's done a great job. Hopefully, as long as you don't suffer any more injuries, they'll be able to work through it. So unfortunate for him, but he likely will be back, as it was, I just believe, a partially, not completely torn hamstring, because I think that's more of a season-ending injury. So trying to think if I'm forgetting anyone. I think those are the main guys. And remember, I'll put all this into the description down below, so be sure to check that out. I'll put the stars of the game as usual, injury updates, roster changes, and my player of the game, who I already gave that away, but that's Sam Williams. He's special. He was awesome. And it was an awesome game for the Cowboys. I don't want to overstate the fact that it wasn't perfect. The first half was rough. You were down 6-3 at halftime. The offense has a lot to work out and to work through. And that's something that's just going to have to continue to be worked on. The running game is good. The offensive line is a lot better than it could be and a lot better than I was expecting it to be coming into the season, especially with the adversity they faced with losing guys like Tyron Smith and even Connor McGovern at the beginning of the year. But the offense and this team has been resilient, and that's, to me, has been the word of the year, is resilience. This team has beaten just incredible odds. You're 5-2 after Dak Prescott missed the first 6 games, if you count, well, I guess 5, not counting week 1. This team is in an incredible position in a tough division, but a very weak conference. So this team has a chance to make a lot of noise. The Packers and Bucs are in shambles right now. The NFC is as weak as we've seen it in a long time. So if the Cowboys can capitalize on that, continue to work, continue to improve, maybe make a trade. I know there's been a lot of chatter. Guys like DJ Moore, Odell Beckham Jr. maybe signing. I'm never going to get my hopes up, unfortunately, with this front office, but I would like it so much just to see them bring someone to just put this team over the top. We've seen the Eagles do it, and that's why they're undefeated right now. The Cowboys, they're right there. They have a chance to compete. Truly, I believe they are the second best team in the NFC right now. And you just barely lost to the Eagles without Dak. I have a feeling when we meet again on Christmas Eve, it's going to be different. But right now, you are at the very least, in my opinion, very least the third best team in the NFC right now. Maybe the Vikings, I don't buy them. They haven't played anyone. And they were killed by the Eagles. To me, we're the second best team in this conference. I'm sorry if I said division. Conference, the NFC. This team has a chance to go farther than it's gone in a long time. And it is by no means perfect. The offense still has a lot of work to do. The defense, as good as it is, still needs to work on run stopping, especially with mobile quarterbacks and good running backs. It's going to be a test against Justin Fields. I think they can handle it. So it's just the little things, continuing to clean up, be disciplined, don't get bad penalties, and the offense just got to keep going. Get Michael Gallup involved. Don't make silly mistakes. And get Dak going again. Keep ramping him up. I'm okay, and I've said it before. Keep leaning on the run game. Keep the offense. Don't overcomplicate it. But at the same time, Dak's an elite quarterback, so don't hold him back. Run the play action. Run. Take some deep shots. That's where Michael Gallup is his best. Dak has potential to do a lot more than just manage a game. So if you can win with him just managing the game, that's a good sign. But when it gets to the good teams, when it gets to the competitors, you're going to have to do more. You're going to have to step up. I believe Dak can do that, and now it's up to me. It's up to Kellen Moore, in my opinion. He's got to scheme better. He's got to mix up the playbook. He's got to put this team in a position to succeed, and he's got to make adjustments. We saw that happen in the second half, so some credit to him, but there's just a lot of work that still needs to be done. But the Cowboys, they're in a good position right now. So keep pounding, keep improving, keep getting better, and this team has a chance to make a lot of noise down the stretch and into the postseason. So thanks again for watching. Thanks again for all of your support, as the views have really been going up on the videos. Really appreciate that. So be sure, like the video, comment, subscribe. It helps out so much, like you would not believe, in the YouTube algorithm. So thanks again for watching, and I will see you guys next week for the Bears game. Go Cowboys.